Well, will you look at that? All right, it looks like we finally made it out here. We had some technical difficulties to get things started this evening, and I had to go get a tutor real quick to get a crash course on how to get this started. Um, I think for today's segment, since we're talking about a full mind and an empty stomach, then practice is something that not everybody really wants to talk about, but it is necessary. And then this is an instance in where it was brought to my attention that I should take it more seriously. Um, for a moment there, I thought I was a savant, and I was told that things change constantly. And though that first situation you may have thought you understood what had taken place, something new would happen the next time you come across it. So I didn't know that, and that's my lesson for this evening. But to get back into things, this first show that I'm doing this evening, and I appreciate being put on by Puna Press Live to have this opportunity. But this is pretty much going to be a journey, a growth process to where we are constantly filling the mind. And it's not because we have a desire for anything. It's not that the hunger is insatiable. What it really is just that it's the full experience of the mind. It's the full experience that you can never be fulfilled, and you always seek that. So the knowledge we hope continues to expand because that just gives us more room to play, so to speak. But what I'd like to talk about this evening primarily is just where this show is going to go in the future. I have several different ideas that I'd like to share. Um, this is a first for me, kind of being in front of the camera. So I have this nagging, what do you do? What do you say? What direction does it take? But I feel like I'm best in a natural setting where I really don't have to think. So as I do this more and more, I think that we will see how comfortable I become in this setting and how easily the ideas will be able to flow in that regard. I'm real happy to do this, man, to be able to share my ideas in this format. So I'm hoping to really draw a lot of different people because I'm definitely going to talk about a lot of different things. Um, I came up with the name of the show about 3 days ago, and it was weird because I had spoken to a friend of mine, longtime friend. We kind of grew up together at a young age, and we had spoken about his brother who had passed away, unfortunately, actually got shot and killed. And something that he had in his mind before his death was having a full mind and having an empty stomach. And he had the image to go with it and everything. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Hey, man, that's perfect because that speaks exactly on what or how I feel." So that's how the title of the show came about. The topics that I'm going to focus on are the ones that are, I guess, key in my life, the ones that I enjoy experiencing or practicing, watching, talking about. So that would be music, video games, women, life in general. Uh, I I focus on primarily like comic books and martial arts and video games, but I do read a lot on concepts such as love, what it is to be alive. I majored in philosophy when I was in college for whatever reason, but that's kind of guided my intellectual journey, so to speak. But we'll touch on subjects like that. I think it will primarily focus on like women. I will touch on sports every now and then, depending upon what's going on, because we're closely involved in those situations as well. Um, but another side to it is the creation aspect. I will be creating content for you guys as well. It's not just going to be me sitting here talking to you on a screen every week. The main focus of this right now, the first project that I'm working on, I wasn't able to get it all this evening because I didn't have enough practice. But is I'm going to create an interview segment where myself and another friend, or myself in both roles, will be conducting a series of interviews. The first project that I have in mind is a serial killer who is being interviewed by a psychiatrist. In this particular setting, it's interesting to do this because really I could not show either character and just have the dialogue speak for itself and kind of let you all see the words as if it's a book. I would kind of narrate it in that style, or I would depict it. And honestly, I'm gonna go with the depiction of it, because I want to actually show what I think a serial killer would look like in this instance. Um, One thing I'd like to touch on about that is, I experienced something recently uh, in life, not directly but indirectly through another individual who was directly associated with the situation. But it was a situation where, we see on the news nowadays where a lot of men in positions of power are getting themselves involved in precarious situations with women that eventually come back around on them, and it's spoken of as sexual misconduct. Uh, and this is really, it's crazy. It's a real thing, and I think from a male's perspective, like the first thing we hear is like, oh, this was something that happened 10 years ago. I mean, the claim is fraudulent just based upon how far in the past it was. We can't take these claims on any basis. And unfortunately, as the young woman exposed to me the situation that was taking place in front of my very eyes, um, like when you're there and you don't know this is taking place, and four or five other people do know, and they're basically running a black ops behind the scenes to catch a predator, that's crazy. And to be that close to a situation like that was very alarming for me. It was alarming for me because I got confronted, like, immediately with the truth of the matter, like, yo, this really does happen. And then at the same token, when I looked at the script that I was already writing, some of the elements that I described skills that I described him having, were actually being displayed by someone who was truly committing the crimes. So, in saying that, I was having a really good time writing that script, and I do feel as though it is um, written very well. I'm hoping that I can act it out accordingly so that I can convey what I wanted to show. There is a message behind it, and I do plan on, having a little twist on it. So I'm kind of hoping you guys come back for more, wanting to see how that plays out. There'll probably be about 7 to 10 minute clips, sessions that I do. I haven't decided yet if I'm actually going to allow you all to see the doctor. Uh, but I have the whole get up and everything. I was up for about 8 hours. Recording the footage. I'm learning how to video edit and edit sound and things like that. So all of this is a journey, man. So I hope you guys stay tuned and see how much this practice really pays off, because we're trying to take things to the next level, and being able to express artistic content in this format is awesome, man. Uh, so that's another project that I'm going to be working on. I do like to read a bunch of books right now. I'm big into strategy. So I've read The Art of War like 8 times. And like literally I will be driving to work and we'll just play a chapter of it just because I just want to hear like strategic talk. So it's funny how I literally will use it now, engaging in so many different situations, whether it's I'm going to the grocery store and I'm choosing a parking lot, or if I'm going to meet up with a young lady, I'm looking at it like, what, there's so many factors. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the art of war in literally every aspect of life. It's crazy how it's applicable, because it's just a metaphor for how you approach a situation. So just a quick brief summation of where I'll go with this is, so if you're going out on a date with a young lady, and let's say that you're going to be going over to her home, and she's going to be cooking a meal for you, so to speak. So in this situation, you have to look at what type of grounds are you on. Um, so if she is at home, it's what you call dispersive ground. Dispersive ground is where, because they're on their home turf, they can they have the ability to flee or go anywhere at a moment's notice and get reprieve from those that are close to them. You know what I mean? So they're in a safe spot. So in a situation like that, it's best that you not engage aggressively, especially considering this being the first time. You don't know your enemy that well. So you have to recognize where you're going to be and that affects how you approach. There's other aspects where you have to literally pay attention to the earth, like the sky, what's the weather, what time of the day is it? Like all of these things play a factor in how you engage in so many different situations. So I find that to be very interesting, and that'll be another topic of discussion that we will touch on. I know I'm kind of going over a lot of things right now, but this is really just me kind of getting my ideas out there in the open. I view this as an opportunity that I can do anything I want with this format. So I'm excited to be sharing this. This is all new to you, and it's new to me as well. So I think that's why I have so much excitement behind all of this at this time. Um, Another aspect that I'm going to be focusing on is music. Um, I am, this is something that I struggle with, actually defining what I am in relation to music. So I guess basically I can be like, yes, I'm a rapper. But God, that's such a generic term, and I just don't like being placed in that basic category. I think it's something that I have to accept, because I guess at the end of the day, that's truly what I am. But I guess I could go and say I'm a poet, I'm a lyricist, something like that. But one thing with me in the music is that I understood that it changes over time, and you have to change. Like you have to be able to add the new element into you, because it showed the appreciation just for music and its totality, so to speak. Um, but there is music that is timeless, and I think right now, and maybe I consider myself to have a broad liking of different genres of music, but in the mainstream media, we lack that timelessness that we had in previous generations. And I think that is a missing element in today's music. And that says something because like music is from the soul. So if we're missing timeless albums, then that means there's a hole, there's a void in the people. The mood of the people is we're unable to we don't have the ability to tap that well anymore. So me knowing that, or at least me believing that, thinking that, having that opinion, that makes it super difficult for me to create music. Um, and I criticize my own music more than anybody else could. Like, you don't have to tell me it sucked. I already know it sucked. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't have that timeless appeal. I didn't like it. The songs there's so many songs that I write that I don't like. And then there's so many that I write that I do like. And so I'll tell you, yeah, you know what? That one, it just ain't hit the way I wanted it to. Or this one, like, yeah, I really did believe in that one. I believe that one has something. But to get to the masses to really follow what you're doing, man, listen, to me, that's stressful. That is super stressful because at that moment, like, how can the importance of my words be followed by that many people? Uh, and you have to ask yourself, what kind of truth are you really trying to put out there? You know, you put out your truth or the truth. And are they the same? So that's one aspect of it, man. I will be creating musical content. I had another buddy of mine reach out the other day, and one point that he made is that he feels like we don't have enough political dissidents in hip hop anymore. Somebody on that next level of thought that's at the forefront of the industry. And I agree with that. So we're going to try to fill that void. So we're going to be working on some things, and you guys tune in because we're going to be sharing it. And if it sucks, it'll suck. But this is like we're trying to grow. So like I said at the very beginning, the theme is practice. So the more we do this stuff, the less it's going to suck, and the more it will be great. And that is what we will be aiming for. And maybe none of it sucks, and it's all great. You know, that's what's great about it, and I think that's what motivates us to give it a shot. So let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm forgetting right now that we're going to touch on. I guess I haven't. So yeah, I did say that we were going to talk about the ladies on here, but we're not really going to focus on women. What I mean by that is we're going to talk about the dynamic between man and woman. Um, Dude, it's not good out here, and I don't really know where to begin with that, but all of the content that we talk about is all related and it all impacts everything on every level. But the core is what type of human beings are we creating out here? Are we raising? I think that mankind has had a timeline of events that should at this moment allowed us to come to a unified understanding of how we should live. And we haven't achieved that. And that alarms me. And I think it should alarm a lot of people. Um, because we've been around for this long and we still, you know, we don't have a system that is inclusive of everyone. We don't have an infrastructure that is worldwide. We don't have the means of communication through peace and morality. I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and say that we should have this ideal society where mistakes aren't made, but there is a certain level of unity that we lack. Um, and I think that that exists because of the system that we live within. Oppression is like it's common practice. Um, there's a disdain that exists inside of people that they don't really have an explanation for. And I think that that is fundamentally, unfortunately, ignorant. Right? You don't even know why you hate whatever it is that you hate. Um, and I think when you say it like that, it's literally embedded in the DNA. And if something is that deeply embedded in you, it's going to take generations to change. Um, and that's evolution, man. You're talking about reversing evolution. So that's a tough battle to fight. I don't think a lot of people realize that, but in saying that, each step that we take towards making this world a better place, man, is critical. When I look at this situation of where we are with COVID-19, um, I think that exposed, like, really, I think it exposed America um, because it's weird, man. It was like we got a vacation for like 3 months and we kind of hoped everything would go away real quickly. And honestly, we really just said, you know what, it's this COVID-19's gone on long enough. Um, we're done with that, right? Let's get back to normal. And I think people don't understand that, this is normal. Like, this is not going anywhere. COVID-19 is now the new flu. And we're going to be living with this until 100 years from now when it's the next pandemic. Like, seriously, like, this is normal now. And it scared people initially. People did panic out the gate. The whole toilet paper scandal. I mean, literally, people panicked out the gate. And that's when I was most frightened, because I was like, okay, so I guess we're going straight into chaos. The system's about to collapse right now. There's no food. People are going to get desperate. The homeless are mobilizing. They're more prepared than any of us. Like, I was literally thinking like this at the time. Now, obviously, I kept my cool on the exterior, but that's literally what was going through my mind at the time. But everybody kind of settled down after that initial outburst, and you know, they waited it out. Government sent as many people as they could a little bit of money. Unemployment, people got a little bit of money. Get the people what they want. They calmed them down. Like, literally, it literally sprinkled, little treats to America to calm the crowd. You know, and now here we are trying to get back to normal, and Corona's still here. So life has changed. We're going to be wearing masks. Maybe it's not mandatory anymore, but I can tell you, half the people are going to do it, and half the others are not. Maybe these are going to be political issues that they're talking about on the next election. Well, I guess we could talk about politics if you wanted to, but I really don't like talking about those things because I just don't. I don't know politics. All right, so if I'm ever going to be sitting down talking, you got to understand that this will happen eventually. This guy's had a tough day, so he's just now emerging from the darkness. I'll introduce you all to him later on. But as far as politics, man, listen, I don't have the standard beliefs that you might think. Like, I'm not necessarily, the screw Trump. I don't know if I can curse on this channel, but at some point in time, it's gonna slip. But I'm not the you know, fuck Trump, go Biden, or bear Bernie Sanders, or whoever. I'm not that guy, man. I'm not really in it like that. I'm for the people, to be quite honest. A brief understanding of me, and then when it comes to the election processes, I literally look at every candidate. I don't care. When Trump was on the ballot, I feel like you're not making an informed vote if you don't consider the possibility of voting for all candidates. Excuse me. So I looked into Trump like, yo, I might vote for this dude because maybe America does need a businessman to run this country. And what it caused me to do was go back and look at past presidential debates, and I stumbled across the old Ross Perot, uh, George Bush, Bill Clinton debates, and it had me looking into Ross Perot as a presidential candidate. And to be quite honest, the conclusion that I came to was that we missed the boat back then. Clinton was the safe choice, but Ross Perot was the right choice. And when I was, I guess, what, 7, 8, 9 years old during that time, like, all I remember the media explaining to us was that this was a short dude with big ears, billionaire, goofball with these outlandish ideas uh, that were too ridiculous to even consider. So it's like I recognized even then, like, pay him no mind, and that's kind of how he was viewed. But when I look back on everything that he's spoken, you can Google all of this and YouTube some of this information because it's out there. And this guy funded his own infomercials, his 30-minute spots on TV where he literally explained everything that he was going to do. He would be like presidents to this day, candidates that we've had to this day, do not have flow charts and PowerPoint presentations like showing you what they're going to do and explaining what's going on in the country. Like this dude was literally teaching us a class and no one paid it any mind. Maybe a few did, but we've not had any presidential candidates ever do this, and this is what this man was doing. And honestly, his plan was not bad. I would have to go back and study it more and understand it more to really delve deep and tell you what it all was. But it's interesting stuff. But in saying that, when it comes to politics, what I do in that regard is I just make sure I look at all the candidates, man, and I do look for just personal characteristics in that regard. But we got to talk about everything else before we can really talk about politics, man. Um, so I'm just gonna leave that at that. But man, I've been going on and on and on, and um, anybody that's tuned in, anybody that's caught wind of this, um, I appreciate you taking the time with me, and I hope you thought that or think that the things that I'm talking about will show. And I'm making a promise as a man of my word, like to make sure I deliver on what I'm telling you I'm going to bring to the table at this time. So I look forward to it, man. We had technical difficulties tonight. Shout out to Big Cuz Ted, man. Appreciate your help in this regard for making this possible. Puna Press, man. Any of my friends, tell your friends about Puna Press, man. They are creative. They are talented. The information is gonna make you think. The information is beautiful. Check us out, man. We are really looking forward to sharing this expression with you. So I appreciate everything this evening. I think I covered everything. Um, but we're gonna have fun, man. There's other things I didn't share, but I could go on all night. But I like to play a little video game, so I think I'm gonna go do a little bit of that right now. Feeling good that we were able to do this. And look, man, we're out of here. We're gonna grow. We're gonna do different things. So, full mind, empty stomach. Tune in. Puna Press. I'm out.